Al's back. Al's back.
The return of the big dog.
The return of the hairy dog. I'm wild looking at the moment. Obviously, you lot can't see me, but dad life means I shave or trim my beard very, very less often than I used to. Don't need to talk about my beard.
Not really.
I'm back in the studio.
Let's
do that again. Let's just do that again. Some funny stuff in the beginning. Let me open that. Okay, I'm going to do a clack. Not that we need to, but we're back.
Here we go.
Wow, tea time. Tea time with Jordan.
With no tea or coffee.
With no tea, no rubbish tea. We did just sink a quick tea at mine, but...
This is not a tea... We're lying already. We've only just started. This isn't a tea time.
Welcome back, everybody. It's been a while since we've done one of these. I've done a couple of mini episodes in that time, but I'll explain some of those reasons why we're back later in the episode. But we are back. That's all you need to worry about right now. We're back here in the studio in Portslade in Brighton doing a tea time, and it feels good.
It's nice to be back in here as well.
It is. It's not often we say that.
No. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's no reflection on anything that happens in here. It's just quite a small studio. Jordan's quite a big guy, and when we both get in it, it's actually quite cosy. So, yeah, but this is probably going to be quite a boring intro. But it's the intro, and we've recorded it, and you're sticking with it. So let's get into it. First topic we're going to talk about today is the fact that I'm back full-time here at the drum school, which feels really, really good. It's been a bit of a crazy year, me stepping away, which you know if you've been listening to our podcast and you're on our mailing list for reasons that were them. And if you want to find out what they are, listen back to some previous episodes. But I'm back full-time in the business. I'm teaching in the schools. Me and Jordan are firing on all cylinders, getting loads of stuff done, and I know that you're super stoked about that as well.
100%.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the best things is people don't necessarily realise working remote has become super popular, and working remote's fine, but there is still, and I'm not the old white guy telling you get back in the office, but there is something very special about when the right people come together.
Yeah,
and we were saying just before we come on air that the amount of work we get done is unmatched compared to when we're working remote. So just having you back, just being in the studio, being able to do these podcasts is incredible. Yeah,
for sure. And I think the thing I realised, like you say about the remote work, there's elements to it that I enjoyed. I quite liked that I had a full-time job and I had a business, and that it was all those sorts of things. But all that got done was the absolute necessity. Yes. None of the cool, fun stuff got done. Which means that
all the impulsive stuff.
Stuff
we just have that
like this right now.
That idea.
Yeah,
that has to become a plan. Make a note of it.
Yes,
we'll block out some time. It never gets done. Yeah,
and it's just not as inspiring being on the phone every day. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
enjoyed our 4:34-hour calls, but
and they always ended with "Okay, I'm out of the house, got to go by."
Yeah.
Dad mode engage. But yeah, so we're back. We're back firing on all cylinders. It feels great. What back means as well for me is I'm teaching in our schools. We're in 4 schools in Hampshire, potentially another couple in September if all things go to plan. I'm doing that teaching, the Perry teaching, as they say in the game. So that feels really good to be back around the drums again every day. And I'm also going to be back in the studio on Wednesdays from September. So anyone who's really missed having lessons with me, I'm back.
And worth noting that they're available via Zoom as well. So
yes.
If you can't make it into the studio, you can jump on a Zoom with Al and still get the full Al experience.
Get Al'd.
But it's interesting because I want to pick up on that you're back in the schools, you're back teaching, you're back around the drums, which is, I've seen a huge change in your attitude in the last few weeks. Not that your attitude was bad, but that energy's back, that morale boost is back. But you also, correct me if I'm wrong, you seem to be really enjoy teaching again.
Yes, I do. I'm really happy to be back. I'm not going to lie. After teaching, consistently every week for about 7 years in the peripatetic way, I needed a break. There wasn't any specific reason. I just needed a break. But being back around the drums every day, and it's not to make the comparison of that versus being in a workshop, so I'll settle for that. It's actually the passion has come back for it. That's the truth, and seeing all the little kids and the guys and girls, all the young ones grow and do their thing. We just had performances. That's something we're actually going to get to as well. It's end of term. at this time of year. We just had the performances, and that feels really good. And I'm definitely feeling the drive to be back behind the drums. If I'm going to be really open and honest, well, you know, we've spoke about this a lot. We speak about a lot of this a lot privately. Like, I really suffer with my imposter syndrome, and it's heightened so much when I'm not around the drums. I feel like I'm completely worthless. I have nothing to offer. These are like mental thoughts. I don't sort of sit in that for weeks. But
I think this is super important for any business owner, because you become an owner and you start to detach or disassociate from the product, and you can you get trapped in this situation of just putting out fires or spinning wheels, but you're not involved with the product anymore. The reason you started, the joy of what you're giving to someone. And it's been really interesting to test that theory for me, to see you go back and go, actually, I like the teaching. Maybe I don't want to do it for 8 years straight again, but I like the teaching. And you get to see the effect that your company, our company, has on the kids and the parents and everything. The reviews we've been getting.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's really kind, actually. If there's any parents or any of the schools, any of the teachers listening, massive shout out to you all, because you definitely have helped me ease back into that smooth, or you've made that sort of transition smooth and been really supportive.
And it sounds cliche, but it's true. That is why we do it.
Definitely.
That is why we do it.
Definitely. There's been, actually, in these last couple of weeks I have been teaching, it's just really reminded me that, I posted a little bit about it on Instagram, about how we're teachers, I believe that we're here to guide and to let them express. And yeah, there's sort of maybe parameters. I don't really like the word rules in music because it doesn't really apply. But the kids have reignited that in me again, like, which feels really, really good. It feels really special to be around that. So really enjoying being back full time and being able to just be in the studio, which means I can film more stuff. We're conscious as business owners. We're not really giving away anything free at the moment because we haven't had the opportunity. That's the truth. You know, like, as we just mentioned, any time we did have, had to really be just doing the bones of, like, the sort of bare minimum to keep the business running, basically. But now I'm going to be back in here. There's going to be lots more free stuff coming out for you. And actually, there's going to be a big free thing. We are going to be doing a 3-week sort of mini course with support from me that's going to be completely free. There's free lessons that I will offer support with. So listen out for that. Check the mailing list for that. That's coming later in the year.
When you say free, you mean only £300?
Yeah, 3 is in the number. No, completely gratis. Nada, nothing. We want to give it to you because of all the support that you guys show us all the time, and it's and again, like, it's stuff that we've had kind of just sat on a hard drive, and I was a bit like, well, we both agreed actually that we want to give back to our community a little bit. So there will be way more detail to follow on that. But if you want to learn how to play double strokes and you want to improve your double strokes, watch out, because it's coming in a couple of months' time. And I think, anything you want to add to me being back? I think that's kind of it. Like, there's been an emotional side, there's been a business side, there's been, like, family side, there's loads of it. Oh, that was the other thing that, sorry, if you were about to say something, sorry, I asked you a question and I answered it myself.
This is how energetic Al is now he's back. I can't get a word in edgeways. It doesn't. This isn't tea time with Jordan and Al.
This is Al's idea.
This is tea time with Alex in front of a mirror.
It's been burning in my brain for the last year. Like, it's allowed me to have more time with Bon at home, which has been the most powerful thing. This morning, like, we went to a little baby class, and, you know, when I'm working a 9 to 5, I don't have that flexibility. So that means so much to me, to be able to sort of spend that time with my daughter and to give my wife a bit of a relief too. You know, that's some dad life stuff in there.
And it's interesting because that's become a topic for you recently. So if anyone's seen it on Netflix, there's a documentary series called How to Be Rich with an American gentleman who gets people to think about their rich life. And it's not just about making money, as you know, it's identifying a rich life. And you've talked a lot over the last few weeks about your rich life and what it means to you. And it isn't just financial. Your rich life involves being able to put your daughter to bed, being able to, you know, ease the pressure on your wife a bit. And these things are really impressive for me to see, that not only is Al back, but Al's back in a controlled way, a measured way, a way that will allow you to stay back. Because I think that's what a lot of people do. They can rush decisions, and we certainly didn't rush that one.
No.
Not as much as I would like to. You know, we really took our time to make sure that when you're back, that the entire business can be lunged forward again in the way we want, under control. You know, we're not just putting the gas and hope we don't hit the wall. You know, we're proper in the driving seat again, and it's great. And I'm enjoying seeing you enjoy your rich life. So
And it's definitely, there's an element to it as well for me where I, you know, after spending so many years touring, that I thought the only way I could be around drums was gigging. You know, like that's taken me a sort of while, a bit of time to get my head around that. Like we've moved back down to Brighton as well. That's part of why I'm back again, and our house is literally a 5-minute drive from here. We just finished a cup of tea and came straight down, so that plays a huge part in it. And that was a bit of a fluke. That wasn't fully intended, but you know that it's turned out that way. So it all plays into that.
Yeah, but I find it funny when people talk about someone got lucky, and don't get me wrong, luck plays a lot in success. Anyone who says otherwise is wrong or deluded, but it is often the case, the harder you work, the more you plan things out, the luckier you seem to get. You know, you put yourself in the way of luck.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've talked about before, Formula 1 fan, so in racing terms, you know, if you're in second place and you're keeping up with P1, and P1 has a crash or slips or goes into gravel, bursts a tyre, anything, you're going to win the race. Lucky that the mistake was made, but you also had to be right there to seize it.
Yes.
And that's what's interesting to me is putting yourself in the position of getting lucky.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course it's lucky that you now live 5 minutes from the studio, but you know you did the right things to make the stars align. So.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, like you know, personally, we don't have to go too far into that side of it, I guess, but it's maybe a little bit woo-woo for some of you. But I also believe that there is some synchronicity that happens out of our control, and things happen for a reason. And I think I heard a quote, I don't know who it is, forgive me, but luck is when hard work meets preparation.
Yes.
And that's really what that is. And I do believe that you know, it's... That racing analogy is actually a really good one, because you know if the leader drops out, then who's going to come? Who's the new leader? The guy or girl in second place. Like that's the way it's going to be, you know. And I think that's reigning true for us now for sure. But
and in dad life terms, daughter's birthday.
Oh yeah,
big event.
Yeah. Bonnie turned 1, so we did go into dad life a bit there. Bonnie turned 1 last month, which was a really big thing for us. And for her, obviously as well, it's been a bit of a crazy year, to say the least. But that was quite a milestone, obviously, for any parents out there. They know what that feels like, and it's quite a time of reflection. Actually, the first year, you know, like her turning 1, it was definitely. She changes so much, mate. As you know, you just saw her again.
Well, I think that's what's so interesting. Is obviously, I see her semi-regularly, but there's big you know, intervals in between. The growth's insane. It's mad, isn't it? It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, last time I saw her, she wouldn't have been. I mean, she runs faster than me now.
I don't even remember the last time, but yeah, she definitely wasn't walking. No, she wasn't walking, that's for sure. And so yeah, that was a big event.
Or eating food off my plate.
Or eating the flapjacks that your mum made. Thanks, Jordan's mum. They were delicious. So Bon is good. Dad life is good fun. It's great. She's going to come to the studio with me later this afternoon. Actually, she's going to come down. She's going to play some drums. She turned 1. We had a nice little party at the house for her. Got her a nice big climbing frame and a ball pit, which was good fun. The balls have stayed in the garage in the new house, though, because they are a flipping pain in the butt.
Wait till she's on Legos.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what? I don't mind that so much. I can
You'll
get
mind
into
when
Lego.
You step on one of them in the middle of the night.
At 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's not, to be honest, like dad life stuff, there isn't tons to catch up on because, well, maybe there is, but for me, I'm just in it every day, so I'm kind of.
I think the essence of the dad life, I might be wrong, correct me, but it's blended with everything else to just create the whole change in you and the business. Actually, it's amazing. Yeah. You know, if the business owner is a father, or even more, a new father. That becomes just as important. Mm-hmm. You can't really separate the two. Mm-hmm. And actually, I think that's something that I've learned. I've learned from you is that that becomes just as important to me, that you're seeing your daughter and everything, and you're spending time with her. Because otherwise, when you get in here, you're going to not really want to be here.
Correct.
So that's even something that I've had to adapt to and that I've learned. So yeah, I appreciate you continuing teaching me as well. So
next time we do this, you'll put her down for the nap before we come down.
No.
Is that what you're saying? I love it. Cool, that's it. Let's wrap up on that one. Dad life and me being back. The overarching theme of both of those things is that I'm super stoked and I'm feeling much happier, and I know you're feeling much better about us being working together again. Us being back working together again, which feels really, really good. So yeah, if you want to come down and have a lesson with me, I'm back. Hit me up. Jump on the website alsdrumschool.co.uk, book a lesson with me, and come and hang out.
Or natural progression to the next topic. beginnersdrumcourse.co.uk.
Yes.
Our dedicated website for the drum course, which for the beginners course that you've heard about on previous episodes of this very podcast. But, and I'll let you do the reveal, drum roll. We've got drum rolls, but we can't do it.
I'm not prepared. How bad is that?
Anyway, big reveal.
Big reveal. We have sold our first beginners course, everybody. Amazing. Super, super stoked to have done that. A really big moment for us, for sure. And it's sort of dominoed a load of...
subsequent
a load of other sales, yeah, exactly. So it's kind of... it's sort of tipped that first hurdle over, and
I think what's so exciting about that is it's a proof of concept. You've wanted to do it for so long,
yeah,
and we've done it. We put it out there,
yeah,
and of course you work so hard to launch something, and you put it out there, and it doesn't always fly straight away.
Yeah, if we're honest, it's been at least a quarter,
been
maybe
while.
2, like 4 or 5 months.
And there's been reasons for that. You weren't back, so
Yeah.
we didn't have the time. We didn't necessarily have the budget to throw behind it either. But we did it. We got it done.
Yeah,
it's a great course. It takes you from, you use the term 0 to hero. It takes you from having never held a pair of drumsticks in your life to being able to play your first few rudiments.
yeah, and create your own beats and
it goes without saying that I'm going to be taking this course. But
you've been saying that for quite a while, so and you've got access to drums now.
I've been busy.
But yeah, it represents so much. This first, I think we're maybe like half a dozen sales of the beginners course, but that first one that happened a couple of weeks ago, it's, as I just said, it's what that represents and what that means. This is something that I've been working on now. So if we go from like inception of the idea of doing it to actually the first sale, gosh man, it's nearly 3 years. Like now again, obviously if I'd have worked back to back on it, it wouldn't have taken that long, but life happened, the business was doing other things, blah blah blah. So,
and I think there's 2 important things to note there. One, it doesn't really matter how long it takes to get there as long as you get there. And 2, we all have ideas, we all start working on something and it gets put on the shelf, but it's the coming back to it. If you can come back to it, pick it off the shelf and carry on, that's the impressive thing. And I think rather than just celebrating, the kudos of us selling 6 courses and hopefully several more by the time this goes out, anyone listening to this, if you have an idea, if you want to do a little course or you want to do this video or you want to make that song, do it, put it out into the world. But it doesn't have to hit straight away. And in fact, we can take this on a whole nother tangent into my world, into marketing. We're seeing this in TikTok now on a completely different level. You're seeing it in the top 20, the Billboard charts, everything. Songs that came out decades ago, hitting number 1 again, because they're trending on TikTok. Songs that haven't even had any PR behind them are now in the charts because of TikTok and because of that marketing. And it's crazy, the delay, the burn rate can be immense before something strikes. And I think if you've got the patience, we're both huge on patience with meditation and all the other stuff. If you've got patience, you will win. It's just a matter of can you wait long enough? And very few people can. And I think if you can outwait someone, you will win.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know, it was just such, I was so buzzing after, and our beginner's course is $29.99 as well, right? Like we're not, when that first one sold, obviously, maybe it goes without saying, but we are running a business. We do have to look at it from a sort of financial point at certain times. But that 30 quid was the best 30 quid I felt like I've made in a long time. Like because of all these things that went into it and quite literally the not the blood, but like the sweat and probably some tears that have gone into putting that all together. And like your work, your side of it, building the website, doing all that stuff is a massive contributor to it, because without that it wouldn't be selling, and so I think it felt like such a big win for all of us. It was actually my wife that read the email. We didn't even see it. I think Annie saw it and sort of shouted to me from across the house going, "We sold the first one," and then we immediately called you at like 9 o'clock at night. For it just felt really good. I'm kind of repeating the same points, but it just feel it's strange, because it's like we teach drums and we do this thing and we make this connection with these people and we see the growth and we see what that brings to people's lives, and being able to do that through something like a pre-recorded course is it's just another way of like touching people with it, you know, and reaching people. And we also offer support with that as well. Like, you get my phone number, you know, I can support you. You can obviously email, ask me questions, whatever you need to do. You're not on your own with it, but it's such a beautiful thing to be able to offer people. I think if we can reach that global audience with it, and for myself, there was a lot of learning in which I've also spoke about actually on the podcast about the beginner's course. There's a lot of learning for me in terms of getting what's in my head into a camera, onto like an SD card, and then out into the world. You know, like, there's so many processes and so many stages that, like, it's a lot of work, right? Like, in the initial setup. Now we're sort of in the flow of it. Like I just mentioned, we've got a doubles course coming out. Like, it's kind of a bit, I'd say air quotes, easier. It's not easier, we're just better at it, I think is the way to look at it. But it was a huge win, massive win, like mentally and emotionally. You know, maybe not financially. I'm not going to go buy a house with 30 quid, but it's like I say, it's what it represents and what it brings to people, which is the most important thing. And again, to repeat it, like, you played a massive part in that. Yeah, so thanks.
Well, let's end with a little advert then. If you do go to beginnersdrumcourse.co.uk and scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see proudly created by my company. So if you click that little link, if you ever need a website, you can give me a shout.
Yeah. I mean, I'm laughing because seriously, like, you know, that is there. We work as a partnership. We're a team, and a rising tide lifts all ships. So what you said to me many years ago, and I'll never forget that. So that's our beginners course. Yeah, you know, we're gonna keep reminding you of it. We're gonna keep trying to sell it. Of course we are. That's what we do. We want as many people as possible playing the drums all around the world. So one more time, head to beginnersdrumcourse.co.uk if you're interested in purchasing that course. It's time. It's my favourite bit.
Oh, Christ.
It's my favourite bit of... Not just my favourite bit of the podcast. This is one of my favourite things of my musical career now. What's left of it. No, I'm joking. It's time for Jordan Google's drumming.
Oh, God. It's been 6 months coming. Well, I've got an interesting one today because you've actually already mentioned it twice, I think.
Okay.
And you've mentioned it a lot. There's actually 2 terms. And I think I have a slight grasp of what they are.
Okay.
But hopefully you're gonna explain that for me, and maybe there'll even be a course on it coming out. Stay tuned. So the terms I am interested in are single stroke roll and double stroke roll.
Cool, great, I love it. I also like how these are getting a little bit. You might not even realise, but you're like getting deeper into drumming without even knowing it.
Well, that is pure fluke. Because if ever you want to laugh for only £5 a ticket, you can come down and see me play the drums, and ear defenders are provided.
So a single stroke roll and a double stroke roll are, I mean, arguably, maybe not, but certainly the single stroke roll is probably the first ever rudiment you'll ever learn when you sit down at the drums. Single stroke, the single bit is referring to one note or one stroke on each hand.
Okay.
If we were diving a little bit deeper into it, they would most often be played with a full stroke. We'll get into those. There's maybe some fuel for your Googling later. A full stroke, right, left, right, left, right, left, or left, right, left, right, left, right, depending on which lead hand the player has. Not to be underestimated at all, because like anything in drumming, we call it, the phrase is musical mileage. So in its raw form, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, not super interesting, not particularly difficult to play at a normal sort of medium tempo. Starts getting more challenging if you're moving it around the drums, if you're splitting it between your hands and feet, if you're playing it at high speeds or really slow speeds or super quiet. You know, you can start adding in all these mileage parts to increase.
So that's interesting. So single stroke doesn't just apply to the sticks. That could be...
I mean, in my brain, maybe someone might shoot me down, but if they're like... A single stroke roll is just one note on each limb, as far as I'm concerned. So you can split a single stroke roll between your feet and your hands, or you know, whatever. So the single bit, and this might give away the next thing. The single bit is referring to how many strokes or how many notes you play on each hand. Okay. You can then start talking about the different subdivisions of things, which is how you divide the bar up into quarters, 8, 16, 30 seconds, or 3s or 12s as well. If you start looking at it like that. To sum it up, the single stroke roll is one note played on each hand, more often than not for a beginner just on one surface or moved around the drums to create things like fills or different things like that. A double stroke roll, which I'm sure you've probably figured out by now, is when we play 2 on each hand. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, or the opposite for a left-handed player. Double strokes are, I guess, to me, have always seemed like, and again, feel free to shoot me down, purists, but like to me, have always seemed like a more efficient way of playing, because you one movement, throw down, you get 2. There's a specific way to do that. There's probably a couple of ways to do it. You'll find out if you tune into our beginners course in a couple of months. More often than not, we teach beginners, you do a throw down and then a catch. So if I just get a stick quickly, this, you get some live tuition. I'm going to do it on my hand so that it kind of represents it. So you would throw the drumstick down, and it naturally wants to, like the butt wants to drop, and the head of the stick or the tip of the stick wants to come up. So as you do that, you then catch. So it's one movement, like one wrist movement and then a finger movement. That's the most common way. There might be a few, if you're playing things like traditional grip, where the stick lays across like that, it would probably be different. I've never played traditional, so I couldn't tell you how to do that. The double stroke roll is... Getting a good double stroke roll down is really fundamental if you want to move on to the more advanced rudiments. A double stroke roll by itself is super useful for like sort of licks and phrases. You maybe wouldn't necessarily play fills with a double stroke roll, like around the kit. You might do. Certainly in marching drumming, doubles are like massive in marching drumming, because they're just, the speeds are quite a lot, and you've got to get a lot of notes out. And it's also quite nice being able to fit little double strokes in where you wouldn't normally put a double stroke. Sometimes that can add a little bit of flavour as well. So the double stroke roll, 2 notes on each hand, again can be split between limbs if you want, or doubles played with your feet. Often you would play a double stroke like a double stroke on the bass drum can of course be like both the same volume. Sometimes, sometimes when you play a double stroke on the bass drum, you'd play one slightly quieter, so you kind of get a bit of a vibe going with it. Double strokes are super powerful. If I was going to sum it up, they are really, really key if you want to move on to more advanced rudiments.
And so, is there then triple strokes? Quadruple strokes?
Yeah, there is. They're maybe not as official as a double stroke roll. Like a double stroke roll,
because they're the only terms I've ever heard, single and double.
Yeah, so you do get like triple strokes.
Yeah.
They would be more for like practice stuff, like if you're working out, you know, like if you're trying to build strength or stamina or all these different things, you'd probably play a triple stroke roll.
But presumably they would be considerably easier if you already had your single.
Absolutely, yeah, because you can start to apply the fundamentals that you've learned from playing the single stroke and the double stroke roll. There's also like within, just to go back to the single stroke roll super quick, there's ways to play single strokes using fingers or using rebound or using wrist motions. Like there's a few different options that you can sort of use.
Is that based on how comfortable the drummer is with doing it?
Correct, and the musical context as well. Like if you're in a classical environment, it might need to be like super rigid all the way through, or not classical. Sorry, in a like a rudimentary or marching environment. Whereas if you're playing it in a more sort of jazzy or maybe something a little bit more subtle that needs a little bit more nuance, then you'd maybe consider playing it a different way. But I loved that one. I loved answering that. It's nice again, like back to what we were talking about earlier. Like we're talking about flipping drums again, man. Like I'm super happy to be doing that.
Which is good because I've got a lot of questions.
Jordan's face has gone a little bit blank on this.
So tune in next week for more.
There you go. Jordan Google's drumming the single stroke and the double stroke roll. Something we have to talk about, which to say I'm excited would be a massive understatement. I'll let you announce what's happening.
This has been a long time coming.
Oh yeah, since I was about 10.
So we are extremely excited to announce that in early November, we have a date in mind, but for now let's say early November, Al's Drum School will be hosting our first ever drum clinic right here in Brighton.
Yee-hoo!
It is, I mean, you've been talking about this since day one, so
yeah.
I'm excited to finally be able to do it. And I don't think we're going to mention names yet, but I know some of the names that you're trying to get on board, and we've seen some venues. And this is going to be, I'm pretty confident in saying this is going to be one of the best things we've done so far. It's going to be incredible.
Definitely. There's lots to be said. I'm already like, where do we start? Like, as you said, it's been something that's been on my mind for a long time, a real long time, for several reasons. Obviously, I just love drums. reason number one. Reason number two, I could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong, but I don't think I've ever seen a drum clinic advertised in Brighton outside of the unis. I know that unis put on masterclasses a lot.
Well, I mean, even for me, I'm big on, as you know, self-improvement, clinics, workshops, all that sort of stuff, and I don't see many. Now, either that's because they're not targeted at those outside of the music industry already, which I think is a mistake, or they're just not advertised very well, which is probably very likely. But either way, I think what's exciting about this, for me, is that I don't think this is just applicable to drummers. I think this is applicable to anyone who just enjoys being in a room of experts. And for me, I don't care what you're talking about, even if I have no interest in it. If someone says, do you want to meet the best in the world at this? Do you want to meet the best in the world? Any of the top 100 in the world at this? Yes. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be ferret breeding. It doesn't matter. I want to know. The knowledge these people have is insane on these niche topics. So I'm extremely excited to be working with you on putting this together, and I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to start saying more, but we've got to be careful.
Me too. I'm kind of like there's lots of cool things.
More of a teaser than an announcement.
A little bit, yeah. But I also really appreciate that perspective, because obviously my head's just drum, and like I never really think about it in that way, you know. But
I've got friends, I've got business partners, as you know, that I've already told you are going to come down, and they're looking forward to it. Who aren't drummers or maybe played drums or an instrument when they were at school, but they're coming down for the same reasons, to see experts talk and play and interact. And I just think if you're on any path to learning, growing, which I hope everyone is, because if you're not growing, then you know, I stole another Tony Robbins phrase, if you're not growing, you're dying. But I think if you're on any path to improving any aspect of your life, then hearing people speak about stuff they're super passionate about and that they're super skilled in, don't pass that opportunity up.
Definitely.
Especially for, and it might not, I know it doesn't apply to everyone, but for a very small barrier to entry, usually a very low ticket price, you are going to get access to some of the best people, either in your area, in the world, in the country, whatever. And I think that's amazing.
Definitely.
And that's what I've got in my head as this for our clinic.
Yeah, and like, even, you know, we would encourage, I mean, obviously we want drummers to come down, of course, because those are going to be the guys and girls that are like really going to benefit from it. But other musicians, man, come down, come and get a different perspective on what it's like to be playing music, you know, from a drummer's perspective. And there's so much to be gained from these types of workshops or clinic. I mean, for those of you who don't know as well, we call it a clinic in the drum world. It's a masterclass, it's a workshop, but it's one way, rather than, you're not necessarily playing and interacting with the tutor. There may be moments where that happens, but it's more of a one-way sort of tuition setup, which is why we choose very established, like, professional musicians to come and do it, because they bring,
and we've got some slight curveballs in mind as well.
There is a couple of curveballs, which hopefully they land, because I think that would be really, really good. And it's something we want to do regularly. Like, I'd love to be hosting, I mean, one day, once a month, like that would be a dream if we were able to get, you know, a sort of set up enough to be doing this once a month. That would be amazing. But this one is our first one. We're super excited about doing it. It's going to be at a very cool location in Brighton that we can't quite disclose yet, because we need to, basically, we're trying to be like all elusive, but we just don't want to commit to anything in case it slightly changes, and that's the truth, you know. But we do have a date in mind, we have artists in mind, it's going to be happening. We are super excited to be doing it. And students, if you're listening to this, you lot best be there. You're the most important people. If you're a student of ours, you need to come along.
I think that's important to mention as well. This isn't just something that we're doing because, you know, why not, let's have a go. We're doing it because it adds to the entire learning experience of the students here. And of course there'll be people there who aren't students of ours, or who are friends of ours, or who just pop down because they want to meet some drummers, which is cool. But really, everything we do, the beginners course, all the other courses we're going to do, the clinics, the workshops, everything, the summer workshops in the schools, everything is to enhance the learning of the students, young and old. And that's, you know, this is the growth of that community that we've talked about since we started the company. So. Yeah,
and I'm super passionate about that as well. And I always like, it's not necessarily our mission statement, but sort of the mantra I always was trying to aim at was, if you want to learn drums in Sussex, you come to ours, and that's what we're aiming at. And then by offering all these different things and facilitating learning for people, that's so key. Like, we want to facilitate this. It doesn't always need to be on the drum kit learning with Al, or, you know, like one of our other teachers, and using that as a phrase, but it's that we facilitate all these different types of learning for people, and that's what we want to bring. So we're putting on our first clinic ever at Alex Drum School, early November in Brighton. Join our mailing list if you're not on it and you want to find out more about that. Head to alexdrumschool.co.uk. All the stuff will be there. All the information, will be there as we get closer and closer. And we will probably run some competitions to give away some free tickets as well. So there's even more of a reason for you to follow us and get on our mailing list and do all that fun stuff, because who doesn't want free tickets to cool things?
And an even bigger teaser, we were talking just before we came on about stuff that you will get just for coming. So that you're not just going to get your ticket price, come in and go home. You're going to get some stuff to go home with. You're going to maybe get access to some courses that we haven't even talked about yet. You're going to go away with a lot more than you arrived with. Put it that way. We are going to over deliver on this.
Yeah, definitely. And we just want to. I want to be surrounded by drummers, man. Like I speak about it a lot. So I remember so fondly being in college and just being surrounded by like another 120 drummers every day. And I just want to get back to that. It's really cool. And we will run a student discount for that clinic as well. So if you are a member of if you're a student of any of the universities in Brighton, we will be giving you a special price on that too, because we know what student life is like. Beans on toast or a ticket to the clinic.
An absolute breeze as student life is. Wait till you leave. I'm not having it.
We're saying it one more time. Early November, clinic at Owls. Head to owlsdrumschool.co.uk. Join our mailing list to find out all the information. I think that only leaves a little bit of housekeeping for people who are within the fold of ADS. We are going to be closed from the 7th to the 18th of August. The reason we close is because we run a 48-week calendar and we have to close for 4 weeks over the year, or we have to charge you more. It's up to you. No, I'm kidding. Our payment structures are based around a 48-week calendar, so we close for 2 at Christmas and 2 in the summer. Bit of housekeeping, you need to know that if you didn't know. The other thing that I really wanted to mention before we wrap up and finish here is I just want to do a massive shout out to all the end of term students in our schools, particularly our year 6 leavers, because they've just absolutely smashed it. It's been a real pleasure hanging out with you over the years. I wish you every success as you move on to your next adventure in education. And you've all done super well. End of term performances were absolutely smashing. I'm super proud of all of you. You worked hard. You overcame the nerves. I know it's scary. I get it. I actually said to all the students yesterday and the teachers, I get so nervous in those things, man. Like, I sweat profusely. I'm just there like, there's sort of, and I don't know why. Like, I know a lot of the parents now. We speak to each other quite regularly, but there's something about being in a school hall when it's death silent.
I find that fascinating.
And I'm trying to press play on a playlist for little Johnny or whoever it is to play his thing. Mate, Wembley, calm, collected.
I find that amazing.
Focused.
For a man whose last gig was Glastonbury.
250 kids in a tiny little primary school in the Downs.
I think it's because it's not you. You haven't got control. You want them to do so well, and you've given them all the ammo, but they could still go on and freeze. Something can mess up, it's out of our control. And unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Luckily, that didn't happen.
Also a quick note to anyone who is leaving the schools in year 6. It's an incredibly challenging time moving to a new school, possibly new friends. Maybe you've got to leave friends behind, or they're going elsewhere. It's stressful. If you can keep some consistency in your life, I think that's important, and you don't have to stop learning the drums now. You can jump on to Zoom sessions with us and learn remotely in the comfort of your own home, away from the new school and the unfamiliar surroundings. And I think that is super important. And obviously we want to keep you on board as students, but it's more than that. That consistency is really important, and consistency matters. And if not with us, then please continue your learning with someone else, because it would be a shame for you to have gone this far and to stop now. So hopefully you know by now that there are no other drum teachers in the UK
in the universe
that compare with Owls Drum School. But if you have to, then feel free. But hopefully you'll come back for Zoom lessons, and we can't wait to jump online with you again.
Yeah, well said. And I just want to second that. Please continue your learning. I've always thought that. Well, there's also a phrase: some people are in your life for a reason, and some are in for a season. And I also, I think that students should have a variety of drum teachers. I think that's beneficial to you. So yeah, I want to second that. Just don't stop playing. As cheesy as that sounds, that's what really matters to me and to Jordan and to the whole team down here at Owls. Really, we genuinely, and are like, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, like we're so passionate about sharing this knowledge and this love. Music has given me, and I know our other teachers, so much. Like that's a huge understatement. So if we can even offer a 0.5% of that to you lot, then that really means a lot to us, and that's why I get out of bed every day. Well, Bonnie's mostly the reason I get out of bed every day, but other than Bonnie, it's why we get up and we do this. And that's us for a tea time. Man, it feels so good to be back. I'm really glad we squeezed this in. Just so you know as well, Bonnie's asleep at home. Annie's at home with Bonnie. I'm on Bonnie day today, but I knew I had a 2-hour window, so I was like, let's go do a podcast.
This is the dedication that you receive, people. Alex is a dedicated man.
He's abandoned his daughter tonight, I'm joking. She's at home with my wife. Really lovely to be back, Jordan. I appreciate your time, man. It's so nice. We will be doing this a lot more regularly again now. And I'm glad that we're connecting with all the listeners out there. We really enjoy doing this. It started as a bit of fun, but actually it's kind of... I think that's probably how all these...
It's almost a direct vein to them now, and I like that. And I only have one request, which is that next time we have some tea and biscuits, because I am parched.
We've both got a really dry mouth. I hope you all have a lovely week, weekend, month, year, whatever you're doing. Head to owlsdrumschool.co.uk, join our mailing list, and you'll find out about all the stuff we've been talking about on this podcast. And if you want to join the beginners course, head to beginnersdrumcourse.co.uk, purchase yourself a course, purchase it for your friend, purchase it for your dad, purchase it for your kids, whatever it is. Get involved, start learning. It's actually a really good way to sort of get into the fold. You can see me.
Also, I'm going to reiterate something we haven't talked about. Once you've got it, it's yours forever.
Yes.
And you know what? Completely unofficial advice. Don't tell Alex I said this. Once you've got it, you can send it to your mates.
Yes,
you can send it to your parents.
Yes,
you can give it away. Don't tell us about it, please. But you can send it to however many people you want. And that's really, all joking aside, what we're trying to do is just reach as many people, get as many people into this incredible instrument, incredible world as possible, and a world that I am more and more interested in every day, and a privilege to be working with Al closely again. So yeah,
quite close in this studio as well.
Very close right now, but a metre apart. Yeah. But anyway, right.
Nice one. Take it easy, guys, and we will see you. You won't see you. You'll hear us next time. Peace.